on to our final topic of the show. 52 minutes into it. Hopefully this will be as long as possible. John and I have officially in our household PS5s. So what I would like to do is have a discussion about the PlayStation 5 since we have had less than a week with it. It's Tuesday. The console launched on Thursday. And Mark is going to be somewhat of an interviewer in discussing with us as we go into it. So we have a small outline. Mark may or may not have comments.
Oh, God, he put out a book.
Thank you so much.
This is just a FedEx envelope. Don't worry about this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you just want to do this on another cast? I'm okay with that.
So I think the first thing we're going to do is talk initial thoughts, and I will be right back because I'm going to unplug my PS5 to show you how fucking big the thing is.
Well, I mean, I guess like the first bit really is like, what do you think of it, John? What's your real first impression? I guess of
it's
like
heavy.
How's it been playing?
When I took it out of that box, I was like, oh man, don't drop this because this is gonna make a loud bang. Yeah. And we're not small people, by the way.
Does it really in person look like a PS4? With like a white folder around it? Kind of does.
No. It is much larger than a PS4. As a matter of fact, this PS5 here, half the height of my stand-up speakers that are downstairs for our surround sound.
Ooh.
This thing is fucking massive.
Yeah. It's a heavy.
Look at it.
I mean, even the controller is like, it feels like it's denser.
Yes,
for sure. It doesn't feel like there's as much air space inside of the controller. Obviously, it is heavier because it has got longer legs, and I think it's got heavier components in it for doing what it does.
Controller compared to my head.
Yeah.
So
right? Look at this thing, man. Like, it's my face.
I do want to get a good feel for the DualSense because I think some of the features they're talking about they have implemented are pretty cool. So.
Oh, 100%. Okay. It actually makes the console, in my opinion.
I agree entirely. So, DualSense.
Brent's a little too into it.
Is the number one reason to buy a PS5. Like, if you don't care about this controller or feeling the difference, it doesn't matter. The graphics are great. Graphics are always going to get better. You'll get there eventually. Most of the launch titles are on PS4. This is the reason to upgrade. And yeah, put your Xbox controller down. And the number one game to play, honestly, and John can vibe with me here, is the pack-in title Astro's Playroom. So Astro's Playroom is made by Team Asobi. It's the same people who made Astrobot Adventure, which is a VR game. It is a 4-hour, roughly, game. 3D platformer. You move around 4 different levels and you gather collectibles that are Sony's history. So it's like PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. You get a bunch of other things they've had in those generations, like the PSP, the Vita.
Mm-hmm. There was stuff I'd never seen before. I was like,
correct. The GPS attachment for the PSP.
What? The microphones. I never saw those before. I was like, okay.
All kinds of stuff. But the major difference is because of the haptic feedback and the way they built the game, the way you feel the game is night and day. Yeah. Like when you're walking, one of the levels involves Astro going into the beach area. So you end up like going down a slide and you land in the water. And in the water, you can feel small, subtle vibrations in the controller. When you hit sand, it's this sluggish vibration as you're moving. And then, of course, there's a microphone here. So you're hearing the as you walk through sand, but you're feeling. That's what I meant. Yeah, there's also a microphone.
There's also a microphone.
Yeah, there is a microphone here, but also a speaker. You're feeling the subtleness and the kind of delay reaction you would feel as if you were trudging through sand. And the second you go from sand to hardwood, it is like night and day. It instantly flips up. Like it's so hard to describe. Because I feel like a crazy person trying to tell you, but legitimately you can feel it in the controller, the difference of walking on sand to hardwood to ice. Like it is astounding.
When it comes to immersion, it's a 100% win.
Yeah.
Oh, what a difference, or what a distance we've come from the DualShock when, it went from one vibration motor to 2 in the PlayStation 2,
Yes, for people who are not aware, the typical rumble in a controller, and this is for a majority of controllers out there, arguably minus this one right now, is that there are 2 motors in the ends right here, and all
Yeah.
they do is spin. So you can
Spin
get
weights, yeah.
you get a slight spin, you get a medium spin, and you get a heavy spin. Like, that's all you get. And so this has motors all around it that have a vibration function to them, and you can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. It is astounding.
My
Easily,
favorite part was playing Astro was the bow. And it just got
yes.
me so excited for the future Horizon Zero Dawn.
That's the other thing. Adaptive triggers. So these triggers have resistance assigned to them. So right now I can tap with them as much as I want. But even playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, 75% of the way through, nothing. 25% for the rest, you have to press. You have to put effort into it in order to get the full swing. And that's true for exactly what John's talking about with the bow on Astro. You have to pull, and you can feel the resistance in it, and not just the bow. There's a sequence where you have to play as Astro in a rocket ship.
Yeah,
and you have 2 engines, and you can feel the tension in order to fire off the engines.
Nothing was better than the gotcha game. Nothing was better than the gotcha game.
Oh yeah.
So not only are you pulling the lever, as you're pulling it down, you get a slight pull, then it clinks down as if like it released. And then you get the ball in your hand, and then you sit there, and as you're just slightly going, you feel it crunch, crunch, and then it just lets go as it explodes.
So good.
And the sound effects coming from the controller are perfectly tuned to what's going on to a point where you're just like, I just did that. I swear I just did that.
I think John, you said it right. Immersion.
Yeah.
Immersion is what this is, in a way that we haven't dealt before. So video games are a visual medium, they're a sound medium, and a physical medium. And visuals have upgraded countlessly. This generation, we're having even better visuals. I'm gonna put this I need to like tilt this closer to me. People can truly understand the size of this thing, because it's
so a good massive chunk of metal, man, and it's heavy too. Getting it out of the box, I do not recommend trying to pull up. Lay it down and then slide it out.
Yeah,
slide it a little closer in frame there, like over in front of your shoulder there or something. Yeah,
it's so massive. This is my head. It's so massive, but we have not felt immersion, literally felt immersion in a way that this controller can give, and they've only given us a taste.
Yeah,
this
is
sounds hyperbole,
tip of the iceberg, baby.
Like hyperbole, but like this is truly just the beginning. It is astounding what the capabilities are.
I mean, whether you're playing COD and pulling the pin off a grenade, you're gonna feel this. Lock a gun if it locks up, if you miss the reload, like you would in a Gears of War game where you try to perfect reload, and if you mess up, it locks up. You can't pull it down; it just will not give. And even if you force it down, it still won't fire. But at the same time, like it's saying no, you're jammed. It would be just like, oh my god, that moment would be
the developer side of me thinks that this is really cool because the way that they're doing this actually isn't motors, it's they're called voice coil actuators. Basically they work like speakers that just operate at so low of a frequency, moving a tiny little piece of metal around. The difference is that there are so many of them around the controller that it gives such an easy way to do that. Now, the trigger anyway is just a really heavy controllable electromagnet behind it that just gives that heavy tension or that hard stop, to prevent you from going too far with it. But it's just a really cool tech, I think, and I almost want somebody to finally build PC drivers for it, and start implementing that in games, because I mean, PS5 or PS4 controllers have been used on PC for a long time now.
Yeah,
100%.
And are kind of the standard for esports if you're using a controller, like Rocket League, for example. Most players use PlayStation controllers for that. So I think if DualSense has adaptations for PC to be able to utilize those same kind of implementations, I think that'll make gaming next level on multiple places. So.
I mean, honestly, if you could put this on a PC, I don't see a reason why you'd have to buy a PS5.
Well,
especially if they're bringing games over to PC like they have been.
Exactly, right? Like they already started with Horizon. I imagine they're going to move other things over as well, and I imagine this functionality will move with those games.
Probably.
but they're going to try and sell their console first.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, and that makes perfect sense. Like, don't release drivers, short of the community releasing something, which is going to take a while. It's going to be like 6 to 12 months before somebody from the community is able to drop drivers like that. And I'm guaranteed that Sony can drop some like that. They may already have them made and are just holding on to them. But I think the controller is definitely, just from my own like observance of the marketing of what you guys are talking about here, is that the controller is definitely one of the biggest experiential additional factors here that just change the entire landscape here. Not even so much the console itself, is definitely the feel of the game, which is the only thing at this point that can get better. We've hit a law of diminishing returns with graphical and audio and audible fidelity. So tactile feel is the next bit.
Yeah.
Well, especially when you think about how most people play games, they like, especially when we're talking about a console, it's in front of your TV, it's like connect to a sound bar or sound system or just your television, and you're in front of it. So while they tout the ray tracing for 3D audio on this machine, which is highly capable of doing it, you don't get that unless you're really using a headset.
Headphones, headset, 5.1, 7.1 surround sound system. Even a sound bar that can simulate 5.1 will get you much farther than just basic television speakers, whatever. But definitely.
This is the innovation, and Sony needs to double down. I will say the biggest disappointment I've had, and we have like a small list here, but like the biggest disappointment has been most of the games are available for both PS5 and PS4, and it shows on how they're using this. So like I just beat Miles Morales literally before this podcast. Does not use the controller in any instrument that I
really
not really
in the way that I would.
I mean, they're like the phone would ring and you could feel the vibration, and
there's a couple of small
just to clarify,
would do
Miles Morales was a launch title, right?
It is, but it's also on PS4, and so I think that's the key there.
Well, yeah, but I would have assumed, I guess, launch titles would have had full implementation of what you can get out of the PS5 to some extent.
You would think so, and I think they ran into a crunch factor, and that's also what I'm worried about with Horizon Zero Dawn. Talking about it's supposed to be, was it considered to be PS4 as well?
I think they said it was on PS4 as well. Now, Jim Ryan, the head of Sony, has said explicitly that every title coming out on PS5 is built for PS5, and they backwards compat it to PS4.
See, so I didn't feel that way with Miles Morales, though.
I agree with that entirely. I think like, Miles, I think Sackboy's Big Adventure, I think these launch titles will be the exception. That's the hope.
Did it have at least some integration of the haptic feedback? I mean, because
speakers, it utilized the speaker for things.
But I mean, didn't the PS4 controllers have some speaker implementation?
Yeah, they have a speaker as well.
Yeah.
Well, so the thing is, again, that's building for the PS4 that just happens to work for the PS5 too.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. Now, I've heard people talk about how they feel it's different. I disagree with them. I don't think there's a whole lot here if you're going for Miles Morales. I would like to try Sackboy's Big Adventure, because that's another one that's cross-generation between the two. Yeah. And then our own B-Scotch and Dots will be playing Demon Souls, and I want to talk to him thoroughly about it, because Demon Souls, Bluepoint said they built each weapon to feel differently on the controller.
Interesting. Okay, so no, they actually built the haptic feedback system in.
Which Demon Souls is
because
yes, I was about to say Demon Souls is exclusive to PS5. So
well, because I mean, because was it some of the other Soulborn games are some of the other ones like are on PC correctly? Correct?
Yeah. So all the Dark Souls, 1 through 3,
like, graphical fidelity probably isn't that big of a deal for them to upgrade to prep for the new hardware. That's probably the easiest part of that. They may have to up-res and then add some detail to some textures here and there, maybe add a few more polys, or not have to refine the polys down so much or compress them so much for the PS4. They can actually upscale them a little bit more for the PS5. Most of the time, whenever you develop up and scale down for your support for hardware. But
I will say I don't want to like diminish what Bluepoint did, because
no,
is a PS3 game, so they definitely built the assets brand new for PS5.
Because the ceiling's a lot higher for them. So
correct, yeah, but you're correct in the sense that like they had a game format. They added some newer graphical fidelity to it.
But I think spending the time on haptics is the right place to go for that.
Correct.
Like especially for something that is supposed to be sort of or can be so much of a feel game of it's sword and physical weapon fighting. You know, like you can feel that. Like I cannot imagine what God of War.
Oh my God,
is gonna feel like on that.
If you're telling me my shield's in the left side of my controller, like the L2, and I pull down L2 and I only feel that in L2, like this section of the control, that would be incredible. Like
your left hand actually feels like it's got something heavy, something, or it kicks back at you. That, like, for example, you know, if you get hit, you know, like that kind of thing.
Exactly. So, I think, John, you and I can both speak to just the experience we've had, because it's Tuesday now. PS4 5s came out on Thursday. I have 2 in this household. One was delayed until Friday, so it's been a little bit all over the place. But aside from Astro, what have you played?
I was going to play Dead Cells until I got a hold of Astro, and then that took my time the past 2 days. I played Miles Morales, and I fumbled mainly with just looking into playing with the settings and looking at things and going through stuff. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of home responsibilities I was neglecting, so I didn't plan for, so I had to do. But I mean, I did Platinum Astros, and I'm about halfway through Miles Morales right now. That's all I've gotten to. But I did look at my game library to kind of see what was PS4 compatible and what's not, and I was actually pretty impressed with how many PS4 games were not compatible. There was I think saw maybe 1 or 2 off the bat, so not too bad. But I'm not entirely sure if that was even full on list.
So I played Astro and Platinum it. I've beaten Miles Morales tonight. I've played 3 other PS4 games. I played the port of Final Fantasy 9. I played actually the PS5 version of Maneater, which looks way better than the PS4 version. Way better. Controls the same. Like, again, not really utilizing this.
Did you buy it physical?
We need to...
No.
Oh.
Brent, you and I need to get together and compare it against PC.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I love that idea.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
And then I also played a little bit of Dead Cells. So I've been dabbling a little bit. And Miles has been a lot of fun, but feels like a last gen game that just looks nicer. Astro is the game so far that feels like this is next gen, and mostly it's because of how it uses the controller, man.
And not only that, but anybody we talk to is like, this is my game of the year, or this totally made buying the PS5 worth it and has made my experience completely amazing.
You can ask John. I have been annoying
pimping it out.
I am so annoying to people because they're like, hey, I just got my PS5. I'm like, you know what you should do? You should spend 20 minutes on Astro. Like, I know you got that really cool game. You should put the disc in or whatever and let it download, but you need to play Astro's Playroom. If you don't fucking play Astro's Playroom, I'll murder you and your family.
Yeah, but the thing is, no one regrets it. They all keep playing
exactly.
We had someone playing Godfall. It was glitchy. He's like, screw it. I started Astros and I haven't stopped. And I was like,
like,
the way they did the museum on that was just freaking brilliant.
It is a competent 3D platformer on top of the fact that it's a tech showcase for this controller, on top of that being a history museum to PlayStation.
Yeah.
And it's free. And it's already installed on your PS5.
It wasn't installed. I had to download it.
Really?
Yeah.
You are the only person I've heard that have to do that.
I had to search for it, download it, and then play it.
That sucks. Yeah, everyone else I know, like the 2 PS5s we have here, Steve, Sean, everyone already had it installed. That's the point, is that it should be installed on your machine. Because how it went in this household was, hey, we have Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, right? It has to download. That might take a minute. Let's hop into Playroom. Let's see what that's about.
It didn't take that long, did it?
No, it didn't. It took like 10 minutes to download 40 gigs. I was so amazed. Oh my God, a comparable wireless card on a console. Thank you.
It's weird. It's like you actually support wireless AC or Wi-Fi 6 now.
Who'd have thought?
Weird.
Who'd
actually,
have thought?
I want to know if they support Wi-Fi 6 or not.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It is?
I remember that being said.
I'm sure. Well, I can tell you right now, for one, they support 5G networks, so that helps.
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about the 5 gigahertz?
That's the first big
Yes.
line. There is, oh yeah, we're on wireless N. Okay, so how about 5 gigahertz? Nah,
Nah,
you
yeah.
don't want gigabit over Wi-Fi anyway. Come on now.
That was the traditional fucking PS4, which drove me nuts.
Yo,
But,
PS4 Pro had it though.
Yeah, I know. All that being said, though, I did have one crash on the system already.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, so that actually kind of led into what a question I was going to have. You guys have talked so highly of it at this point. Have there been any major or even minor detractors so far, like other than game implementation, because that's a developer thing? But
we don't know if it's a developer thing or I honestly can't tell.
Well, I mean, if it's not functioning on the controller, it's more than likely that the developers just haven't implemented either proper use of the haptic feedback system or
oh, it's not a controller thing.
Haven't implemented it at all. But like I guess my thing is that have there been any issues that you've come across with the PlayStation 5 so far? It's again a brand new product. It's brand new software that's on it. So of course a crash, or here or there might be expected for the first couple of months at least, because you literally got some of the first units that shipped out.
People test this all at once, and there's going to be
more or less, yeah.
Right?
But I guess have you guys run into anything that, obviously nothing that's game breaking for you guys, but have you guys run into anything that's mild or majorly annoying?
So I got one that's pretty annoying because one of the perks of getting a PS5 is that Sony has announced that if you're a part of PlayStation Plus, you get the PlayStation Plus collection. 18 games you get to add to your library as part of it. Not part of the monthly games or whatever, you can add them however you want. If you add more than 3 of them to your library, the PlayStation 5 starts freaking out and inevitably crashes. This happened on both Brianna's PlayStation 5 and my own PlayStation 5 in this house.
Really?
Yeah. I imagine there's going to be a fix for it. My personal solution, which I recommend to everyone, is every time I turn the PlayStation on, I go and add 2 of them to my library, and then I go play a game. It's unfortunate that that's the fix for now, but it is what it is. I believe it's possibly related to the download queue issue that other people have seen, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I had a game crash to the point where the PS5 wouldn't turn back on for a while.
How long is a while?
It wouldn't turn back on until I pulled the power out and plugged it back in.
That's kind of a big problem.
Yeah, that's a little
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's something that's fixable with software.
Yeah.
But I think both the game dev and Sony should probably get on top of that, like now.
Oh, I definitely. Well, I was afraid. I was like, man, that's got to get reported. They're like, oh, we had this happen. Do you want to report it? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, yes, I do.
I mean, I do remember like whenever the second to last generation of the 360 came out, or revamp of the 360 came out, the weird like glossy black spaceship looking thing came out. Yeah, because that was the last. That was the last console that I've owned. I do remember like a lot of people talking about problems because I ran into my own issues too, whenever that came out. And I remember looking on Reddit specifically to try to find, okay, who else is having this problem here? Because it can't just be me. There's no way. So
yeah.
I imagine you guys are in that same phase at this
Venom
point.
Punch, and it was like right about to hit the dude, and it was like, boop. I was like, uh-oh.
I think hopefully it's not as annoying as like a PC blue screen where it gets to that point and whatever is in the audio buffer at that point, whenever the computer just blue screens or whatever, just repeats over and over again. Like it could be like a quarter-second audio clip of somebody screaming and you just hear like just constantly in your ear, and it's annoying as hell.
No, it wasn't that, at least on my end.
No, it wasn't that either. It just churned out. Everything went black. The console still had a blue light on it, and I was like, I don't want to do this, but you're not responding to anything.
So I'm going to shut you down.
You're going down. I also had a regular game crash. And then in game, I don't know why, I got a new suit. I put it on, and now it won't let me take it off.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is dumb.
I relate that to a game bug than the PS5
it is.
itself.
That one is.
Yeah, that's definitely a game bug. As far as crashes are concerned, that could be either. So it's going to be left up to the game dev to figure it out first. Yeah, it's going to be left up to game dev to figure it out first, but then they're going to have to work with Sony to try to figure out what happened too, because again, it's a brand new operating system update and brand new hardware, new drivers and all that stuff. So
I was super worried it just bricked itself. I was like, you got me kidding me.
I mean, I get it. That would be terrifying as hell.
I mean, all of this being said, right? Like all these minor, I call them minor problems. Game crashing the console is not necessarily minor, but your console's up and running. Like, I still think this console is nice. Like, the speed alone is probably the biggest win. Like, I've touted the DualSense. This is definitely the future. But how fast you can get in and out of things is amazing. So, Xbox has a Smart Resume, which allows you to just resume between two separate games back and forth, which is really nice. PlayStation does not have this. However, with the PlayStation cards, which are the little activities that appear per game, you can kind of utilize Smart Resume in a way that you wouldn't necessarily get legally, quote unquote. And it's incredible. Like earlier today, I was playing Miles Morales, put it down, went and got my chili and got everything ready for dinner, cleaned the kitchen, came back up and was like, oh, I was in the middle of that mission. I shut the thing down. I could save, go to the main menu, like open it up, all that, or I can access this card and boom, brings me right to where I was in the menu.
Yeah.
Like, and not just that, the speed of trophies, the speed of the game, the speed of the store, like everything is like that. And it is fucking amazing. Like in every way I could have imagined amazing. Even games that are older that are PS4, right? Like they still load fast. They look just slightly better. Like it is to me as an enthusiast well worth the upgrade today.
Yeah.
It's worth the upgrade in the fact that like we enjoy playing games as they are, however they are. But in the sense of whether you need to get one today, if you have a PS4 Pro, I say hell no. I don't know.
No.
Honestly, you do not need to do this. All these games outside of Demon Souls are available on PS4, and you're not going to have to deal with the bugs. And unless you were just itching to play Valhalla on PS5, sure.
That's my number one question is like, if someone were to ask me, and I've talked to my boss about this a lot, is like, do I need a PS5 today? No, you don't. Now, this is cool.
Oh, yeah.
The hope is this goes
cool.
everywhere else. Like you want to check this out if you're into games and you play them emphatically like we do. But ultimately, Miles Morales is on PS4. You know, Valhalla, like you said, John, is on PS4. Like the last gen PC, whatever. Like it's everywhere. So it's also not utilizing this the way we want to. So the incentive truly isn't there except for the fast speeds. If you want the fast speeds and you're down with spending $500, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in this household we have two.
This is it's like we said though. This is the tip of the iceberg. It's coming in the next year. You are going to have amazing games at your fingertips to play with this DualSense, and I believe that developers who want an edge and want to make a name for themselves will do really cool stuff with these controllers.
Well, and based on the article we talked about, you know, or that Brent, you had mentioned, you know, initially before we had started the important was, you know, that it was going to take 3 years for the transition to happen. So at the end of that 3 years, every game should be on board with this platform by that point.
Correct.
Which means that this is going to age like fine wine at this point. So
yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. But is it worth it? If you have extra $500, you like gaming that much? Yeah. Sure. If not, you can wait. You will be just fine waiting as much as
even if you like games that much, you can still wait. You're fine.
Yeah.
So
we're
here's the last question I think I have, I guess, in this respect. And since the PlayStation 3, this is like the question I have to ask because I asked this for the PS4 too, before with somebody else's. How's the thermals?
Oh,
does it get hot? Does the fan kick up?
No. So number one reason why this machine has this design and is this big is because a majority of it is
a heat sink
fan. It's a giant fan that literally does nothing but displace heat. So this thing is cool as a cucumber.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have that because every now and then I hear the startup of the fan, but then it goes away.
No, I was gonna say because John is the disk drive.
Because I remember the the PS3 specifically being a meme of, place an aluminum plate on top of it and start cooking chicken while you enjoy some Gran Turismo.
Listen, you little shits. You may think that's funny, but the PS3 is literally used as part of the cheapest smart computer you can buy. The U.S. Army utilizes 23 of them combined to make a smart computer. So shut the fuck up. No,
oh my god!
Damn,
so angry.
That's so aggressive.
Listen, I defend the PS3 for days because their cell structure this is incredible, despite the fact that it was incredibly hard to code for.
But I do remember the PS4s, even like from the esports perspective, whenever we would do events and whatnot. Well, you could hear fan noises kick up around the room, very heavy. Like as soon as a tournament would start in one place, suddenly 10 PS4s are all cranked way up, to 100% of the fan. So
here, just a fan. A giant fan. No,
yeah.
Sony
which gave some skepticism, I guess, with the design that Sony had. Although we could see what the ventilation holes look like around that white trimming.
Yeah.
Microsoft gave zero doubt that there was going to be well ventilated airflow through theirs anyway, based on the trash can style design. But
what's trash cans are normally circular. Okay, this is a square.
Whatever. It's still
it's a trash can design.
It's a trash can design. No, but I guess that was a big question that sort of loomed, because I know from a production perspective anyway, or from an esports perspective, like setting up 35, 40 of them in a room or whatever will matter a lot from a heat perspective and from a noise perspective.
Yeah, you're not going to have that problem.
Yeah, Sony specifically said that the reason why they went with the design, specifically with the cooling, is because you can't hear it. So John and I both have disc versions. What we hear is the disc drive spinning.
That makes sense.
As far as I understand it, we should never hear the fan. And so the only way to test that, John, would be to take a disc out and game. Try that later.
Yeah.
I will probably do that with Valhalla. My wife bought it on PS5. We're going to put it on this bad boy. I love that my arm is all the way up here because that's literally the top of the PS5. But yeah, I mean, do you have any final questions for us before we wrap this bad boy up?
Actually, I guess one other question would be: have you either of you plugged it into a 4K television yet, or are you guys both running on 1080p?
It's on the way. Don't you worry. We'll come back to you on November 26th, and I'll get back to you on that.
There you go. There you go. He can let us know.
Yep.
We don't have a 4K in this house, fortunately. We probably won't upgrade.
We were talking in the pre-show about you possibly, looking at 4K, big old television, big old 4K.
Eventually. I gotta move my living room around first.
Yeah, that's gonna be a project. Yeah. It would have been here already if Best Buy would have had freaking stock in it. I would have been able to tell you that, because I was really curious myself, and I was like, whatever, I'll just buy it.
I might just take it over to Kane's. He's got a QLED. I'll just put it up in his machine.
That's what I originally wanted, was a QLED, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, I got a question for you, Marcus. Do you want one now?
I'd rather take the haptic. I feel like I'd go with the haptic controller or the DualSense before I'd go with the console itself.
Well, yeah, of course. It's a full package right now, asshole.
Wow, that's so aggressive.
Can't pick and choose. I want my cake and eat it too.
But please let us know what your thoughts are on the PS5. If you have one of your own, we would love to hear your input. Are we over-exaggerating? Do you think we're correct? Do you think we're underselling the console? Let us know.
I think we're PlayStation fat boys.
Floating directly in front of my forehead, right here, like a tramp stamp. But now I think it's time for the last call.